Good afternoon, everyone. Okay, we have 10 people here. Let's start. So because we have already submitted the mini case of Samsung yesterday, so we don't have anything about the project to talk about the mini case assignment to talk about. So the only thing we need to do is recap the chapter 11 and 12. So I will elaborate something Professor don't elaborate during his lecture. Okay, so for chapter 11, competitive strategy, um, basically we can divide this chapter into 4 parts. Also, they have a logic connection between each other. The first one is understanding the competitive landscape. Okay, so you need to describe uh, the competition between um, each companies, between the competitors. Okay, so the second one is evaluating the competitions. use some way to evaluate like how to find some weaknesses of your competitor and use your strengths to beat them. The third one, principles of a competitive strategy. Uh, there are four principles, and the last one is competitive actions for different market. The monopoly, oligopoly, and the perfect marketing. Okay, so let's elaborate them one by one. And first one, understanding the competitive landscape. Uh, you need to know the three concepts here. The first one, strategic group. That means like some competitors you use a similar way with similar business models, pursuing similar sets of customers. Like we can put Honda and Toyota as same strategic group because they are competitors to pursuing same group of customers. Customers pursuing a high um, MPG vehicle and reliable vehicle. Okay, so the second one is a barrier to mobility. Uh, that means any factor that limits the ability of company to move between strategic groups. Okay, it might be a cost, it might be scale, might be some system to let you to limit you only can stay in your original strategic group. So we have learned um, barrier of entry before. So it's very similar to the barrier to mobility. The difference between them is just here it means um, your difficulty um, that limit you stay in your original strategic group. But the barrier of entry, the meaning of that is whether you want to step into an industry or not. Okay. So the third topic of the understanding of the competitive landscape is strategy canvas. Mm, so you can see from the graph, uh, the Southwest uh, compare with other airlines, it is so different from the other airlines in terms of the price, meals, lounge, and seating choice, and hub connectivities, right? And Southwest is very similar to car factory, car industry. So you can find some strengths of Southwest to defeat your competitors, other airlines. Okay, so the strategic canvas just let you to compare mm, some factors of between you and your competitors very detailedly. Okay. The second bigger topic of the chapter 11 is evaluating the competition. Okay, so the competitor response profile is a profile of competitor that identify its objectives and assumptions, its strategy and its resources and capabilities in order to anticipate how the competitor might respond to rival actions. Okay, so for example, here we use a delta, but if you are you are CEO of other airline companies, you can still see the competitor response profile of Delta because um, they will leave some space for your company, even though they have already want to leverage their benefits of some scale in international flights or resources, but you still have some space to let you in, right? For example, you can see the picture here. There are two questions. Match the two questions on the left side, left side of the slide. What drives the competitors and what the competitor is doing or is capable of doing. Um, so what drives the competitors? There are two dimensions or two factors. The first one is objectives. So um, what's your objective? And for here, the Delta want to leverage the benefits of the international scale for overall cost savings. The second one is they want to have a greater share of the market. Okay, the assumption here means that ideally they want to achieve their objective, but they want to have some ideal situation. For example, here is passenger want to fly the same airline domestically and internationally. Scale savings exist by having global footprint, which permits competitive pricing on international routes. Okay, so these two answer the question of what drives the competitors. They want to achieve something. Okay, so on the right side, what the competitor is doing or is capable of doing. The first one is a strategy. That means how they want to achieve it, use which kind of way to achieve the uh, objective, and there's assumptions. So they use the strategy of positioning as an international travel choices to as many customers as possible by building an extensive travel network. Okay, so the resources and the capabilities. Um, that means how they want to use the resources to um, by these resources and the capabilities um, to achieve their objectives and there's assumptions. Okay, so strategy and resources and capabilities, and there's a question of what the competitor capable of doing. Okay, so we still have two question or two factor left, or two steps left. How will a competitor respond to specific moves? You can see on the very center of the graph of the picture, Delta is likely to largely ignore entry into its international city part markets by Southwest as long as these entries remain few. Okay, so because they have the scale of economy for the international flights, so they don't worry just a few entries into competing with them. Okay, so if so from the Southwest side, if you want to compete with them, they don't worry about it about you on the under the international flights because they have economy scale. Your price cannot beat them. Okay. um, Before I move to the game theory, the last step of the evaluating the competition, do you have any question here? No? Okay, good. So let's move on to the game theory. How many of you learned game theory before?
I know that.
Okay, so
I think I know. Yeah.
okay, so let me just simply explain the Nash equilibrium here and dominant strategy and T for tat strategy. Okay, so if you learn before, we must learn the prisoner's dilemma. Okay, so it is a classical um, example of a simultaneous move games. That means the two prisoners have to move simultaneously at the same time. That also means, in other words, they don't know each other's choice. They can choose implicate or don't implicate. Okay. So for here, the Nash equilibrium and the dominant strategy is the same thing. You want to use a dominant strategy to achieve Nash equilibrium. Okay. So what's the factors you have to achieve uh, to satisfy the Nash equilibrium? There are two factors. The first one, move simultaneously, and second one, no one has better payoff or better profit. No one want to change their choice anymore. Okay. The dominant strategy here is the meaning of you want to use uh, this strategy no matter what the competitor want to choose. You want to choose only one choice because you don't have any incentive to move to another choice. Okay, so dominant strategy is a movement, and the Nash equilibrium is what you want to achieve. Okay, so for here, I have used a red circle to circle the Nash equilibrium here. Even though they have a battle off here, the 1-1, rather than -1 and -1. But why they want to choose -1 for both party here? The reason is here. Um, for example, if we are the prisoner one, if our prisoner two uh, choose either way, uh, implicate or don't implicate. So, uh, oh, sorry, let me say again. If the prisoner two choose implicate, if we choose implicate here, we will got -1, right? But if we choose do not implicate, we'll get -2. Okay, so the -1 is a better payoff here. If the prisoner two choose do not implicate, so we have two options: implicate, we will get 2, and don't implicate, we will get 1. So no matter what prisoner two choose, we will choose implicate because it will have higher payoff at ending. Why they don't want to choose one here? They all choose don't implicate because they are so afraid of another guy, another prisoner will choose the opposite choice. For example, if I choose do not implicate, if the prisoner two choose do not implicate, it will be perfect. But sometimes the competitors don't trust each other. So they are afraid of prisoner two choosing implicate. So as a prisoner one, we will get -2, and prisoner two will get +2. So that will be very bad for us. So that's the reason we need to choose implicate. From the prisoner two side is the same. They need to choose implicate because the logic for him or she to choose the option is the same. Okay. Any question about the Nash equilibrium and dominant strategy here? No? Okay, good. So compared to the simultaneously move games, there is another one called infinitely repeated games. Tit for tat strategy, that means when your competitor move, you will chase his movement, do the same option. For example, at the very beginning, we choose -1, -1, implicate. If your competitor choose another option, don't implicate, you will choose do not implicate. Okay. So, question here, which one is the Nash equilibrium here? Anyone can answer the question? Nobody? Maintain. Okay. Any other answer?
I think we don't have Nash here.
Sorry?
We don't have a Nash equilibrium here. Because in all of them, I think there is a situation then one of them wants to deviate.
Okay. So what's the logic behind the Nash equilibrium? The first one is move simultaneously is very easy, right? And second one, no one want to find another option because they have already get the best payoff here. And they don't have any incentive to move after considering their opponent's source or opponent's option. Okay, intuitively, like the prisoner's example here, sorry. Intuitively, we want to choose a 1-1, but family answer of Nash equilibrium is -1 and -1. Here is very similar. Intuitively, 5-5 is the best choice for both sides. But as the competitor, in most situations, the two companies cannot exploit the resources very effectively, most effectively. So they cannot achieve the 5-5 because we don't trust each other. We just afraid our opponent want to change the strategy of the option, and we will get some bad outcome. Like for here example, if we want to maintain, if the if our competitor, for example, here, if we are the delta and we want to maintain the price, if we both maintain the price, we will get the best outcome for both party. But if American Airlines, they want to change, they want to lower the price, so we will get -1. Okay, so it's not very good. So when you want to get the answer of the Nash equilibrium, firstly, you cannot choose the best outcome in the graph. Okay, so here 5 and 5. It's the best battle for the two companies, but it's not the Nash equilibrium. We have to consider our opponent's choices. So here the answer is Nash. Here the Nash equilibrium, the answer of that is 2, 2. Why? If we are the delta, our opponent, American, want to maintain the price. Okay, so we have two options. The first one is maintain. We will get 5, and lower, we will get 10. So which one you want to choose? You want to choose lower, right? But if our competitor, American Airlines, want to choose lower, so we have two options too. If we want to maintain the price, we will get -1. And if you want to lower the price, we will have 2. Okay, so you only consider your outcome. You don't need to worry about your competitors' outcome. Okay, so you need to get as higher as possible, the outcome as higher as possible after considering your competitor's choice. Okay, so whatever they choose, American choose maintain and lower the price. The best option for us is lower, because 10 to 5, 2 to -1, lowers is always the best. Okay. And question here. Okay. The principle of a competitive strategy are quite easy to understand. The first one, know your strengths and weaknesses. And second one, bring strengths against weaknesses. Okay, so here's the weaknesses. It's not your company's weaknesses, it's your competitor weaknesses. So you need to use your strengths to beat your competitor's weaknesses. Okay, so you need to know the meaning behind this point, the weaknesses. Whose weaknesses? Okay, the third one is protect and neutralize vulnerabilities. So if you have the weaknesses, you have to protect them from other companies' competitions. Okay, the last one is develop strategy that cannot be easily imitated or copied. So we have learned the VIO, so we have to make sure our competitive, our resources and capabilities is imitable. Okay. The competitive actions for different market environments. I think if you learn the Nash equilibrium before or game theory before, I think you have learned the econ class. So they have already told us the difference between the different market a monopoly, only one or two company in the industry. They dominate everything, and they are the price maker, and the customer are the price taker. The customer have no choices to change the mind of the monopoly. Okay. Also, the barrier of the entry is very high because they have very high scale to keep the cost very low. So nobody can beat them from the price. Okay, so oligopoly here means the numbers of companies higher than monopoly, but you need to know at the oligopoly company, you need to know the movement of your competitor because there's still a little competition between each other. And the perfect competition is very easy to understand. Okay. Um, that means the product is the same, and the firms are price takers rather than price setters. Okay, so there are very high numbers of the companies or firms in the industry or in the market. Okay, so chapter 12, implementing strategy. So we have two topics here. The first one is alignment, the 7S model, and the second one is strategic change. The 7S model, you can divide it into two components. The first one is hard triangle. There are three factors, but it can be achieved in a very short time. It is they are the strategies, systems, and the structures. For example, you can change the strategy very quickly, whatever it will be processed successfully or not, but you can change it very successfully. Change it very quickly. And the systems and the structures, like the structures of a company, you want to buy equipment or change the human resources or the department, something like that, it will be very quick. But whatever, it will be changed successfully, but you can change it very short time. Okay, but for the soft square, they are more towards the culture or some the scale or the mindset or the thought of the employees. So it need a very long time to change. There are four factors: staffing, scale, stale, and share values. Okay. The three phases of the change. The first one, unfreezing. That means when you know the change is needed, you have to change something of your company from your previous situation. Okay, so you need to change the structure or something else. Change process, that means your company is under the change. The rephrase, that means you have already successfully changed everything, and everything now process smoothly, and you need to rephrase everything to make it common, make everything very common for your company. Okay. So the 8 steps to successful change. Um, Professor mentioned it during the class, but I think he didn't elaborate each of them. So after each step, I use some words to elaborate them. The first one, generate a sense of urgency. That means you, as the CEO, have already seized the necessity of the change. So you need to generate a sense of emergency, some atmosphere of urgency in your company. The second one, build a guiding coalition. That means let the people in the organization support the change. Okay. The third one, create a vision, is very easy to understand. And the fourth one, communicate the vision. You need to get some feedback from your employees and members. Also, you need to create a very effective channel for communication of the vision. The fifth one, empower individuals to act. So you need to motivate the organizational members to try the new practice rather than let them like stay on the previous stage. Don't change anything. Because when we want to change, most people in the company, they don't want change because they get a fixed salary and they don't have any incentive to change. So you have to that believe after change, the company will become better. The sixth one, garner short-term wins. That means let members see it works in short time. If the people don't see any um, outcome in a very short time, they will not trust you in the future. Okay, so you have to make sure the strategy works in a short time and let them see the good outcome in a short time. The seventh one is consolidate gains and move on for more change. That means you need to keep working on your strategy, keep working on the change. The eighth one is institutionalize the change. Um, Let me simplify it. The meaning of that is just let the change become the culture of your company. Okay? Let everyone to take that value for granted. So for the 8 steps to successful change, we match it to the 3 phases: the unfreezing, change, and the rephrasing. Okay, so 3 to the unfreezing, and another 3 to the change, and the last one to the rephrasing. When you remember, you can use this structure to help you to remember it. The last one, it didn't appear in the textbook, but professor mentioned during the class and also appear in his slide. I think it's very similar to the 8 steps. Some of them are overlapped. The first one state the change. Let everyone know the company now is under the urgency, something like that. Very similar to the first step of the 8 steps. The second one is listen to feedback. Okay, like the on the steps before, the build channel to hear the feedbacks from your employees. Third one, acknowledge the feedback. Fourth one, use emotional intelligence. You need to use emotional motivation to motivate your employees to move, to change. to trust you. The fifth one, explain why you want change. The sixth one, define clear roles. Let everyone have their own specific role. Seventh, provide training is for some HR, human resources, uh, change. They need to create some training program, effective training program. The last one is the reward acceptance. That means you need to change the reward system and let people get higher salary or better incentive after the change. Okay. Any question here? Nope. Okay. I think we almost done, and there are three last thing I want to remind you. The first one is all assignment, including discussions, due by June 2nd. Okay, so the second one is a final group project due by June 5th. The last one, because on the syllabus, the professor mentions final test will be on June 4th. But here, on the slides and on the last lecture, he mentioned it will happen on June 2nd. Okay, so let me ask. I have already asked him via email, and I think he will mention again next week. Okay. Okay, we all done, and if you don't have any question, please feel free to leave, and I will stay here if you have any other question. Thank you. Have a good weekend. Thank you everyone.
Hi, I had a question for the is it can you go over kind of like the flex days, Watson? Do we have 4?
Can you repeat again?
Can you explain the use of flex days? Like the assignment extensions. I just saw like in iLearn.
You mean the flex days, right?
Yeah, I didn't know we had them. So yeah.
Okay, so so for the flex days, you have, I remember you have 4 times of the flex days, and it can help you to extend your due date by 1 business day. That means like for our most assignment, you have to finish on Friday. But if you use a flex day, you can extend to the next Monday.
Monday?
Yeah, Monday.
Wait, if something's due Friday and you extend it 1 day, wouldn't
yeah, it's very interesting, because I just check all because a student told me because he used one flex day, but he submit the work on Monday. So I gave him 1 point off or 0.5 point off because of the late submission, and he told me that from the instruction on the flex days, you can turn in your assignment the extension will be based on the business day, not just on the natural day. So that means like if you decide to extend from the Friday, you have 3 days because the Saturday and Sunday is not the flex day.
What if you try to extend an assignment on Thursday? Then do you have until, what if the assignment, like per se, it was an assignment like our mini case, Samsung was due yesterday.
Yeah.
So if someone extends it on Thursday, then is it due tonight, Friday, or is it due on Sunday?
So principally, it will be due tonight because
Okay.
it only extend one business day. Yes, one business day. But you choose to, you want to use the option on Friday, it can help you to extend to the Monday. Very interesting because follow the instruction. The ideal instruction is extend by the business day. Very interesting.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay, any questions? We still have we still have how many people? We have 6 people here. Are you all waiting for me ending the meeting or you have questions?
I have a question which is not related to the class, so I'm waiting for everyone to ask their question.
Okay.
If anyone else does not have any question, I can ask that question.
Maybe they are taking a nap now.
Okay, so let me ask my question. Actually, I was checking the curriculum for the MBA, and I wasn't sure. I heard that you don't have so many classes in the MBA per quarter, but in the curriculum, I'm seeing we need to take 14 units per quarter, right? How many classes do you have?
For full-time students, because we are the international students, we have to take 12 units. That means it's 3 courses for each quarter at least.
Okay, 12 units.
Yeah. So yeah. So that means. Go ahead.
How many total units you have to pass to be graduated?
80. That means you have to take 4 courses. That means 6 units because each course is 4 units, right? So you have take 4 courses for some of the quarters because for example, for me, I take 5 courses last quarter, and I take 3 courses this quarter. If I want to separate it into 2 quarter, I'm gonna take 4 courses for each quarter, right? But I want to have more leisure time for this for last quarter, so that's why I take 5 classes last quarter. Yeah.